And now for something different. The Swedish Army Messkit. Please note, it's not a Swedish Army Trangia. There never was such a thing. This is a Messkit that was designed by the Swedish Army for their use. And what it does very well. And what it does is it heats up your food in a very simple and reliable way. It's not the lightest Messkit you'll ever come across, but it's probably one of the best if you know how to use it. This is what it looks like when it's packed away. And this is that annoying hook. And that's where it goes. Remember that. But anyway, so what have we got? Well, let's break it down. Over here I've got another one. And the component parts is the windshield. Notice in the bottom of the windshield there's some wire pot holders. Okay. The hole in the middle is deliberate. We've got a small pan. That's the top part. We've got a billy can, which is the bottom part. And we got some bits and pieces in there. And this is where my kit varies from the original. Okay, what do we got? First of all, we got a bottle of fuel. That comes with the original. We got some cutlery. That's what I carry. Knife, fork and 2 spoons. You can carry whatever you want. A pot holder. This thing can get hot, and so can this. It's very handy just to be able to pick them up. There is a fancy way of hooking the this little hook in at the front, round through there, but this kit doesn't have one on, so we can't do that, so we use a pot lifter. Small melamine mug inside and a burner. Let's take a look at that. Now then, mine has got a Trangia burner in there, which works great because it fits inside that mug and it's got a simmering, so it's more versatile. The original burner is this one here, the military burner, which also works great. It has more capacity because it's bigger. It's also heavier, also doesn't fit inside my mug. But don't dismiss it, it's a good burner. It's slightly slower than the commercial Trangia, but it works really well. It's almost bomb-proof. This one, where are we now? If you can see, the 3 crowns, 68, so made in 1968, and it's a Surveyor. So this was made by Surveyor. I believe Trangia made some, and another company whose name is unpronounceable also made them. But anyway, not strictly Trangia. This one is Surveyor. One of these pots has a name inside it. I think it's this one. Or is it here? I can't remember where it is now. It does have a name. Anyway, it's the name of the maker. These are stainless steel, which is more robust than this one, which is aluminum. But this is heavier, so it's a trade-off. Both work equally well. If you were to boil up a litre of water, it would take just as long in this as it would in the aluminum. There's no difference there. Okay, another thing I carry is a striker. Sometimes carry a little Bic lighter as well. Bic lighters are handy. Very small. You can buy 2 or 3 of them. Chuck one in each kit. Put one in your pocket. But if they fail and your matches fail, you can always strike a light with this. So, talking about the military burner, I replaced it with the Trangier. A good thing about the Trangier is when you buy one separately, it comes with a simmering. Now, the simmering doesn't fit very well on here and doesn't work very well. It works much better on the commercial Trangier. Says he as he can't undo it. I'm terribly sorry, I'm one-handed here. But anyway, I'll demonstrate with something else. I've experimented with a couple of other burners that you can buy. This is a stainless steel Tatonka. All these are made out of brass. Apart from this is stainless steel Tatonka. It holds more. It's slower to get going. It much prefers to be inside the windshield as opposed to be burning outside. It's just the characteristic of the thing itself. But once you get it inside the windshield with a pot on top and the heat stays where it should be, which is up top here, it works very well. Stainless steel doesn't conduct heat as well as brass, so that's the major problem with it. Another one I have here is a Chinook, although they're made in China and there's various names. It's pretty much identical in size to the Trangier. The nozzles are different, slightly different. They alternate between large and small. I don't think that makes much difference, although I think this one, I did test it one day, I think this is slightly slower, but really there's not much in it. And this comes with a very nice simmering with a lid and a handle, so you can put the simmering on and off without burning your fingers, which is quite a problem with this one. It's quite annoying, but there we go. So to make it simmer, say you were to heat up a pot of water and you want to, throw some spuds in or some carrots or something to cook. You don't want it boiling away rapidly, so what you do is you cut down the flame. You cut off part of the flame by using this little lid, this sliding lid. And it's a bit fiddly, but once you get used to it, it's not too bad. And it doesn't have the convenience of your home stove where you just turn a knob. No, you actually have to think of it and work things out for yourself with this one. But anyway, so looking at the I nearly said it myself then. Looking at the Swedish Army Messkit, these are some worthwhile modifications you can do. You can exchange the military burner for one of these commercial burners. If I was to take my choice, I would take this one. I'd take the original Trangier. I think it's great, but I do like the simmering better because it's got this little handle on it. But you could always, solder, rig something up here. Maybe you solder a piece of wire on or something like that. Don't think the heat would melt the solder. Maybe it would, I don't know. When I bought this thing, it came in a kit with this little burner, which goes in there like so, and then you can put preferably a round pot on top of it. But I don't know how well that would work. I think it would be quite slow because these burners do rely on an efficient windshield to keep the heat where it's supposed to be. The heat has to come up the side of the pans like this. If the heat has a chance to escape out the side, it will do. Because you're not burning a lot of BTUs with this thing, you have to make the best use of what you've got. So they work best within the windshield. Looking at the pans, this is obviously sort of a billy can type thing. If you want to boil up some vegetables or what have you, or boil up some rice or some noodles, this would be what you use. This would be for smaller stuff. You can use this as a cup if you wish. Some people call it the frying pan. It's not really a very good frying pan. You get a couple of eggs in there, that's about it. You wouldn't get much bacon in there. But they do fit within one another, so you can use this as a lid. You can use it that way, or, says he, not doing very well, or you can use it that way. A little harder to get off when it's like that. If you want to do any frying on this, you know, you get yourself a cheap little camping frying pan, about 8 or 9 inches across, and then you can stick it right on top of here. Just rest it right on top, and it fries really well. There's lots of videos about these Swedish Army Messkit, so I don't really want to go over what those guys do. But you light it first, and then you put this over the top. Then you put your pan on, and you should be boiling a couple of cups of water in about 6 or 7 minutes. And people say that's slow, you know, my gasoline stove can do it in half of that. Well, maybe it can. But this is silent. This does not make a noise. So if you're in your tent and you fancy a cup of tea at 4 in the morning, you can fire the stove up, boil the water, have your cup of tea without a roaring jet engine waking everybody else up. And believe you me, I've been in a tent with some inconsiderate person has fired up his stove just to make himself coffee and woken up people in the tents nearby. So I love it. I love the quiet, and who cares if it takes 7 minutes instead of 3.5? You know, what does it matter, really? In the great scheme of things. What else should I say? I'm not going to light it. It's fairly simple. You just pour alcohol in until, you know, it's about level with here. Then you light the alcohol in the middle, and then it burns with a unsteady flame for a while, flickers around until it warms up the alcohol in the stove, and it warms up the stove itself. And then there's a wick that is wrapped around which goes inside this part, and the wick will draw the liquid alcohol up into the warm zone where it vaporizes, and then the vapor, the alcohol vapor, comes out through these nozzles, and then the flame on the inside will light these, and it will be like a lot of little pilot jets, if you can imagine that. So the vapor comes out and reacts with the oxygen in the air to produce a bigger flame. So it's semi-pressurized, okay? And because methanol, which is the fuel that I use in here, is a simple molecule, CH3OH, there's not many carbons in there, and it reacts with the oxygen in the air to produce carbon dioxide and water, H2O. And it's a very complete combustion. It's very clean. Now, if you were to use another alcohol in here, like ethanol, which is a more complex molecule with more carbons and more hydrogens in it, to get it to burn cleanly, you have to add more oxygen. Okay, now there is a limit to the amount of oxygen that will get into this area to react with the fuel vapor, so it will not burn as cleanly, and you will get free carbon in the fumes that come off you, and you will get soot on your pans. Some people say that putting water in with the fuel will stop that. I'm not sure about that. I have tried other fuels, and I find they don't work as well. If you try to use gasoline in it, all you'll get is a very, very black flame, and it won't get hot at all. It won't work. Don't try that. I can't say anything else really. The fuel I use actually is this stuff, methyl hydrate, which is methanol. It's used for cleaning glasses and for thinning shellac, cleaning brushes, that kind of thing, so you can find it in the hardware store. You'll also find it in gas stations and truck stops where it's used as gas line antifreeze and air brake antifreeze, because being an alcohol, it will absorb water. Okay, not only that, but it's completely clear and odorless, so if you have your stove in a motorcycle pannier and the fuel spills, it doesn't matter, just open the pannier when you stop and the fuel will evaporate and not leave a smell behind. They also like to use it on boats as well, because the fumes are lighter than air, or the vapor is lighter than air, and will move away. It's not like propane, where propane is heavier than air, and propane will lurk in the bottom of a boat or the bottom of a box, and then when you have a source of combustion, it will blow up. Okay, so I've talked about the stove. I've talked about the modifications. Basically, my modifications are to add a little cup. You can use different burners as opposed to the big military burner. Any of them will work. The brass ones work better than the stainless steel ones because the brass warms up quicker, and therefore it gets the thing vaporizing and gets the full hot flame easier and quicker. These do work in cold weather. Transgea say that their cookset will work at -10. I've had the Swedish Army Messkit working at -30, and it did actually boil water at -30. It took a long time, but it did better than a gasoline stove, which did not like it at all. Basically because this keeps the heat in down below and keeps the burner warm and keeps it working. This fuel bottle here, which is the original military one, is very handy in cold weather. What you would do is put this in your pocket, keep the fuel warm so that when you want to light the stove, you've got warm fuel. Also, keep this in your pocket if you can, or keep it on the heater of the car or what have you. And then when you want to get it to work in cold weather, you don't put it on the snow, on the ice, or on metal. You put it on wood, because wood is a better insulator, and that will keep your fuel warmer. Put that on top. Do your cooking, it will not burn the wood. The wood will be fine. So there we go. Swedish Army Messkit. This one goes on the bike because it's lighter. This one goes in the truck. A bottle of fuel lasts me a week when I'm motorcycle camping. If you have to spend the night in your car or anywhere else, say your car breaks down or you slide into a snowbank, stall the engine, can't get out, one of these, you can melt snow and keep the inside of the car warm as long as you crack a window. If you've got some tea, coffee, or have some soup, you can survive for a very long time. Okay, so there we go. Swedish Army Messkit. Have fun out there. Get one if you can. Take care of yourselves. Look after one another. Bye-bye.